there's a lot of concern right now for the Montreal Canadiens as they can't afford to keep having games like this. We got to dive into exactly what the weird stuff is that do full speed. This, to me, I don't want to turn this whole video into a rant, but this was the turning point in the game. This was the point where the Flyers gained back their momentum. 4-2, Montreal had just scored, and then this happened. I don't know. To me, like, you can make the argument, oh, Struble guided them in there. Here's my criteria. Based on everything we've heard from the GM meetings, Bobby Brink entered the blue paint on his own, yes, guided by Struble, but Struble didn't push him. Again, you want to watch this again? You want to just watch Brink guided a bit? Brink continues forward. He didn't have to continue forward. He kept skating into the blue paint on his own, and people were saying that this didn't impede Dobes from making the stop. Can you just look at Brink's right skate right now? To me, I don't know. Maybe, this is hypothetical, if Dobes could have pushed off a little bit more with his right leg, he could have covered the left a little bit more and stopped Forster from scoring. To me, this is the definition of goalie interference, especially after the GM meetings, entered the blue paint on his own, made contact with Dobes' right leg that was helping him push to the left. The goal went in, doesn't matter. Stupid. I got so many screenshots. Let's put up the box score. So, there's a lot we got to talk about right now because something weird is going on with this team. The Montreal Canadiens, twice this season, I want to play the highlights to get some positivity flowing here. Twice this season have had stretches where we've been the best team in the NHL for a sample of over 10 games. We're talking that month from mid-December to mid-January where we were the best team in the NHL, scoring the most goals, playing the best hockey. And right after the Four Nations, in the 10-11 games after the Four Nations, the Montreal Canadiens literally had the best record in the NHL. Twice this year, we've had big samples of the Habs being amazing. And twice this year, immediately following those great stretches, the Montreal Canadiens go into a free fall down the standings with loss after loss, giving up goals. The defensive game completely collapses. And right now, that's the most baffling thing to me. Now, let me be positive on one side, because a lot of this inconsistency, in my mind, comes from being young. And it's not down to Coach Marty. Coach Marty and the vets you see in this picture, look, they're doing their job. I'll show the stat card in a bit. We know what this team can be at its peak. But when you are a young team, it's not just the young guys making mistakes, though. I obviously will admit that. When you are a young team still, that problem with consistency and consistency of effort is going to be there. And as you get older, that's going to eventually come. So I'm not worried because we've seen what the peak Montreal Canadiens can do when they're firing on all cylinders. The problem is not how good this team is in general. We seem to be good enough to be a playoff team. We're still in a playoff spot after this loss. If New York Rangers win later tonight, we won't be anymore, but they'll still have 2 games in hand and they'll only be up by 1 point. No matter what, Montreal's at most 1 point out of a playoff spot after tonight with 2 games in hand. So there's still that. But right now, it's just the consistency. And that's the baffling thing. Something really weird is going on because this team just can't string together more than 10 straight games of good hockey. And this is just not good hockey. The Habs played a pretty good second and third, I will say, but there were so many mistakes that led to direct collapse of the team. And this is the old standings, my bad. This is what I want to point to. So I want you to pause and have a look through this. And I want you to guess right now, what am I going to say? What is my comment going to be about this game score? So just take a minute, analyze who's there. You know, the similar names are at the top there. Anderson and Christian Dvorak has been so good. That third line's been great. Montreal's penalty kill was really good tonight, minus the end. There was one penalty. Yeah, the delay of game for challenging the GI drives me nuts. That was the end of the game. But what I'm going to say, maybe you've already made your guess. Look at the bottom of this list. You'll notice 5 of the 6 bottom names are defensemen. Alex Carrier, Arber, Xhekaj, David Savard, Mike Matheson, then Joshua Waugh, then Jayden Struble. 5 of the bottom 6 players in terms of game scored this game are our defensemen. Where's the other defenseman? It's Laine Hutson right at the top. Literally, the best game score on the entire team was Laine Hutson. The best game score. 5 of the other defensemen were right at the bottom of the chart. If that doesn't paint a picture of how impactful this guy is to this team, it's insane. Now, he had 2 assists tonight. He has the fewest games to 50 assists in a season by a rookie since, I guess the last was Matthew Barzal, but that's a forward. This is the list in the last 40 years of people who have been faster to 50 assists as a rookie. You'll see some incredible names: Pele Eklund, Matthew Barzal, Sergei Makarov, Chris Chelios, the guy he's chasing for Montreal, Mario Lemieux, and Joe Juneau. Can we just point out how crazy it is that it only took Laine Hutson 8 more games as a rookie to reach 50 assists when compared to Mario Lemieux? Seriously, that's insane. And he has been unbelievable since the Four Nations break. 15 points in 15 games. And I saw some people saying he's just going to take his game highlight reel from tonight, show it to Kent Hughes, and say, pay me $12 million a year. And honestly, how can you debate with it at this point? Maybe not 12 million. That's me exaggerating. But like, when you're going for these contract negotiations, there is no doubt of the impact Laine Hutson has on this team. Again, just have a look at how the rest of the team fared, other than Laine Hutson. Look, Suzuki there, Laine there, Caufield there, even Slav had a solid game. Newhook scoring a goal. And then it's just everyone else at the bottom. The other defensemen all terrible. Mike Matheson had a really bad game. The Matheson-Carrier pairing, by the way, is only controlling about 30% of the goals for. Horrendous metric right there. Something needs to change. And, we're talking about Cayden Guhle almost being ready to come back. That will be an absolute blessing for this team because, as we showed in our last video, Cayden Guhle and Alex Carrier, when paired together, are the Habs' third best offensive-defensive pairing, as in, they generate the third most goals for of any D pairing on the Habs this year, minus Hutson and Struble and Hutson and Matheson, which is just pure offense. Those are the only two defensive pairings this year that has more expected goals per 60 than Guhle and Carrier. And Guhle and Carrier also allow the fewest expected goals, minus, I think, Hutson and Struble. So they're the second best defensive pair, and they're the third best offensive D pair. Insane. So we gotta wait and see what happens with Guhle. Savard gotta come out of the lineup at this point. I'm sorry. I hate to say it because I do love David Savard, but he's too slow at this point. I did want to point out here stuff about Nick Suzuki. 74 points in 71 games now after another, where is it? I got too many pictures. After another game getting an assist. He got one there in that Laine goal at the end. 13-6 on the faceoff dot, playing over 22 minutes. He's double shifting that power play. Nick Suzuki has been such a game changer for this team, and you know that he's going to keep rolling. It's him and Laine Hutson every single night coming in to show up for the team. I needed to shout out our boy Nick. And look, Laine Hutson at this point in the head-to-head with Matvei Michkov missed an empty net for a hat trick, but Hutson's right there at the top of the rookie scoring, still tied for 7th in defensive scoring. I think that's before tonight. I gotta think. He has 51 assists now. Yeah, no, this is before tonight, I believe. Yeah, because he has 5 goals, and yeah, so now he's at 56 points. So this is actually not even updated. NHL.com takes ages to do it. Look, something weird's going on with Montreal. We are, by some incredible fortune, still in a playoff spot right now. And again, even if New York Rangers win later tonight against Colorado, which you'll probably know the result of by the time you watch this video, it doesn't even really matter because we'll still be only 1 point back with 2 games in hand. But it's a back-to-back tomorrow. Playing against Carolina tomorrow, it's going to be a bloodbath, not to mention the matinee on Sunday. There is a lot of stuff happening right now for Montreal. They got to figure something out. I don't know what's happening. What do you think is the source of the inconsistency? Why do you think this is happening to the Montreal Canadiens? Let me know down below, because that'll do it for this episode of Habs Die. Just everybody that's in and play the Laine train. He's the player of the game for me. He is the Mitchell Stevens player of the game today. We do get one. We didn't get one in the Blues game. We do get one in this game. Leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Be right back here tomorrow night because there's going to be a lot more where this video came from. I've been your host, Josh Gosse. We'll catch you in the next one.